Mr. Major, if you can hear us, we're looking at safety measures.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. The mission of Safe Roads in Nigeria to reduce crashes by 50% by 2020. Mr. Okpefa has been talking about the efforts of the FRSC to meet this target, even though it's been revised to 2030 now. But can you just talk to us about the measures that the road safety has been putting in place?
Hello, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
What measures?
We put a lot of measures in place, and I'm sure you are also aware that this year, come April 1st, we will start the full implementation of the speed limiting devices, which is meant to curtail the excess speed that we have identified as a major risk factor responsible for most of the crashes and the fatalities that follow it on our roads. And we are optimistic that implementing the speed limiting devices among commercial fleet operators will go a long way in bringing down the number of the road traffic crashes we've witnessed in recent times, especially among the articulated and, of course, the vehicles, and also the highest buses who throw to the wind all cautions in terms of what they are expected to really ply while they are on a highway in the Nigerian roads. So that's just one of these measures which we hope is going to help us to actualize this dream. The next thing is our intensified enlightenment campaign, which we have continued over time to ensure that we enlighten drivers properly on the proper use of the highway, which is very, very key, because most of our drivers are ignorant of the traffic rules and regulations. People have argued that is it a case of not having the appropriate regulations in place or what? We have the regulations, but people are just ignorant of some of these regulations, and obeying it is a problem. You can't even obey what you don't know. And that's why we have continued to intensify our in motor parks and garages, engaging all relevant stakeholders, the National Union of Road Transport Workers, the retail, the NATO and Lupin PTD, among others, in terms of ensuring that everybody is on the same page, understanding what the traffic rules are and obeying. Because one problem we have is that we are not just obeying, we are lawless. We obey traffic rules and regulations. We don't see it as something that we should give attention to in terms of really putting it to heart each time we are on the road. Then the issue of drink driving also comes to fore if we must achieve this aim that we goal that we have set for ourselves. And that's why today in Lagos, proudly say we have started breathalyzing drivers, courtesy of the breathalyzers we got from some of the stakeholders, that is helping us to ensure that we bring to the direct minimum incidences of driving under the influence of alcohol. So by the time we breathalyze you and you test positive and you are prosecuted, then you will now know that, oh, it's no longer business as usual for you to drink and drive and go and kill people without any, with impunity. These are some of the measures that we are really carrying out, hoping that us to actualize this mandate. Okay, Mr. This year we are going to concentrate a lot of efforts of improving fleet operation and administration in Nigeria, because it's very, very key. This fleet administration, all these commercial fleets that are driving, hitherto, they have remained unregulated. Now we are bent on regulating their operations, operate within the ambit of the law to ensure that this carnage is reduced.
Okay, Mr. Major, if I may come in here.
In terms of
Mr. Major,
hello.
Yes, you've talked about speed limiting devices, about public awareness, you've talked about public vehicles, articulated vehicles, education, and all of that. Drink driving, driving under the influence of alcohol. But
Yes.
you seem to be focusing on public vehicles, articulated vehicles, public transport fleets and all of that, the minibuses especially. What about the private individuals? Is the FRC planning anything for individuals, private drivers?
In terms of,
In terms of education, in terms of even the speed limiting devices?
the speed limiting devices is a phased approach. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
We can hear you.
Operators first, before we can come to the private vehicles. Because in the event if you look at all these statistics we have, you discover that the fatality index is always higher when a commercial operator is in a crash. That does not mean that private operators are going to be, private vehicle operators or motorists is going to be neglected. They are also contained in our enlightenment program. There is no way we can be carrying out enlightenment programs without also involving every other person. But with particular reference to going to motor parks, you know you are addressing the medicine. Then when we go on our motorized road shows and campaigns, of course, everybody comes in there, including yourself. Then when you look at issues driving under the influence of alcohol, the breathalyzer we are breathalyzing now is not just limited to commercial operators. We also put everybody on the scale. We randomly pick and see who is really driving under the influence of alcohol. So in terms of enforcing the traffic rules, it has no bounds. It's about everybody. But from what we have seen in recent times in Nigeria, we have had so much colossal weight arising from these articulated trucks in terms of tankers and trailers and the commercial, even more than the private vehicles. But that is not to say that we don't have, the program is not an encompassing one.
Okay, Mr. Meje, we have seen some young men who seem to us to be underage driving articulated trucks and tankers. What are you doing about that?
Please, can you just come again?
We have seen young men who seem underage, who seem to us like they should not have driver's licenses at all. We have seen such young men driving articulated trucks and tankers.
Well, of course, we are clamping down on underage driving. I know what you are referring to is the issue of underage driving, and we are clamping down on them. You may not arrest everybody the same day, but I tell you that as you see them, you pick them one by one. Then there is also some misconception we have in Nigeria, and that's about our status and development. From the face validity of somebody you are looking at might look to you as if it is really underage. If you go and really look at the real age, this thing, because of the developmental processes we have here, you discover the third person is really above 18. But with even what we have now in terms of the classes of the driver's license, we have made it clear that it is only those that are 26 years and above that we can even start considering about whether they should be given the class of license that can drive trucks and trailers.
Okay.
Oh, all right, Mr. Meje, we'll come back to you. Let's come back to Mr. Okwefa. In Lagos, for instance, where the please don't drop the call. We'll come back to you. In Lagos, for instance, where the population is so enormous, one would have thought that by now we would have cut down on the use of the roads and begin to look at, because we have waterways.
I've heard this several times. Let me just speak in the same vein with Omeje. There are too many perceptions here in a public domain that are not correct. Go and check all over the world. The roadway is the easiest and the most utilized mode of transportation because of the ease of accessibility. If you come down to Lagos, we talk about waterways. The waterways in Lagos is developed and it is being heavily used. And it cannot be a complete replacement for the road because of the flexibility and the role the road will play. You cannot move from Agege to Lagos Island by waterways. You can only move from Epe, Axis, Ikorodu, Axis, and Badagry down to the island. That's where you have the waters. And for you to use waterways, you need to dredge. Lagos has dredged. You need to build capacity of the jetties. Lagos has done that. Right now, what you left in Lagos is investment. The private sector investment in bringing the boats, ferries. Currently, the ferries are there, 22 capacity. The government is working hard to bring the ones of 60, 100, and it's a gradual thing. However, people are scared because once there's an accident on the waterways, the capacity to be rescued is less than on the road. But that capacity too is gradually being improved. So in Lagos for today, people are moving on the waterways.